What's up, everybody? It's Quinton. It's the Hunters of Light channel, show, live stream, whatever you want to call it. Today, we've got Dave De Beer on with us. He's going to be talking about whales. I love being on the sea. I'm not so sure that I love the rough sea conditions. So I suppose I'm an ideal weather sea person. Watching whales and seals and even I suppose the great white sharks is always such an amazing experience. And I'm really keen to hear what Dave has to say about looking at whales from the land-based tours as well as boats and things like that. So I'm going to hand over to Dave because this is not about me. It's all about Dave. Dave's the man. Dave, maybe first thing you can tell us is, well, what have you been doing during the lockdown? I don't know how well policed your coastline is, if you can sort of go and take a walk on the beach or whatever.
Yeah, just thank you very much, Quinton, and to all the viewers there, welcome. Lockdown, 60 days, it is virtually 60 days now, and I have been pretty much locked down. I live pretty much very close to the ocean, probably about 500 meters, but a drive here and there, just a quick stop, have a look and move on because just avoiding all those fines. But just been sitting at home, doing a lot of gardening, no photography whatsoever, maybe a little mossy or two on the fence at the bird feeder, and that's about it. So I've been going through all my photographs that I can tell you, and that's how I got hooked up with you guys. A good friend of mine, Yashica, he's very involved with Hunters of Light. Him and I have also been chatting a bit, and he told me to get involved. And yeah, we are 60 days down the line. And to you as well, Quinton, what a phenomenal job you've done, bringing all these great photographers, and I say great photographers together from all genres, if I could use that word. I mean, it's amazing to see the works that are coming out. And
absolutely.
In the future, we will probably all be very sort of closely bonded.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the big thing for me is just to try and get as wide a range of genres on as possible. What I'd even like to do is get like our neighboring countries. Let's get some photographers from there as well, and we can possibly facilitate down the line cross-border Hunters of Light weekends, and where we go to a specific country and we do portrait stuff and wildlife, etc. I think it could be so much fun. And also, as you said, you basically forming these sort of friendships online, and it'd be great to meet up with people when we actually get a chance to do it.
Absolutely. And just having seen a couple of the names there, and I've gone to a lot of the game parks, and there's a few people that I have sort of bumped into, and it's just, you don't know them, but now you know them even better. And yeah, it's amazing. We are a small group.
Yeah,
and we all sort of tend to be in our own little enclaves, but it's just nice to know that there are a lot of like-minded people out there, all seeking the shot, if I could put it that way.
absolutely. And I mean, I'm just really enjoying the passion that people are showing, both from a presenter's point of view as well as people that are seeing the images. I think that's just warms my heart. It makes me realize that this type of thing is really needed. You need to show positivity and motivation and that sort of thing, especially at times like this.
Absolutely, keeping the spirits up and keeping all those photographers on their toes, because I'm telling you now, after seeing all the whales now, you're going to have people flocking down to Hermanus to come and try this new bit of wildlife.
Absolutely. And I hope you've got a slide at the end about any workshops and things that you have. If not, we'll add it in the description and all of that, because I think it's also good, you're giving your time and your energy, and I want to give to you the eyeballs that we have on the group, and maybe you can get a bit of revenue out of that as well. I think that would be quite a good payback.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, at the end, when you have a little bit of a question and answer session, then I can showcase what I do and what I can offer all my fellow photographers out there.
Fantastic.
At a nominal fee.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So whenever you're ready, we can start your presentation.
Okay.
I know you've got your two technical assistants there, so call them in.
Yeah, they've been hard at work.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's my little welcome. As you can see, the hair's grown a little bit longer. Just in a nutshell, you have read my introduction. I am a guide. I specialize in land-based whale tours. I work on a boat as well that can take up to 70 people. And I also do bird tours. Photography has always been a passion with me since I was at school. And when I moved down to Hermanus 16 years ago, the whales just crept under my skin, and I haven't looked back with the whales. Authored 2 books on the whales, photographed them like you don't want to know. I've amassed over 1 million photographs, and that's a testament to Canon products. I mean, everybody says, when they look at your actuation, they say, how many photos have you taken? You say 20, 30, 40,000. Well, I'll tell you now, I've got a 1D Mark III that has probably touched on 1 million, and a 1D Mark IV that's on about 600,000, and they have never been serviced. I take it in once a year to Orms and just give it a good sort of dust over and a sort of look around. And yeah, the equipment has really, really sort of stood the test of time.
That's crazy, because you're also always at the sea. You know, it's not like you're, you know, in the desert and it's dry. You know, there you've got salt air and the spray and all of that sort of thing. So that's amazing.
Yeah, lenses, I've gone through 100, 400 lenses already, sort of used it till it just broke. It wouldn't work anymore. And then all your UV filters, I replace them every 6 months, because you haven't got time to, because you've always got the sea salt. The salt is very corrosive, and that just chews up my filters. Other than that, yes, I think it's now time to sort of get going. I'm going to break this down into a whole lot of chapters, and we'll just start off in general. As I say, you've seen me now. There's a lovely, beautiful panoramic of Hermanus. It's taken with a cell phone. Hermanus town there in the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side is Gansbaai. That's a 22-kilometer sort of cross-section of the bay. And that is pretty much where everything happens in Hermanus with the whales. The season runs for about 6 months of the year. There's me with my 500. The lenses I use is a 500 f4, mostly with a 1.4 converter as well. 100-400 lens when I'm on the boat, and also a 1740 mm wide angle lens on the boat as well. Nice aerial view. I do a lot of flying as well, take a lot of customers up as well to do some aerial photography. A beautiful stretch of coastline for those that have never been to Hermanus. I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners that have been, but those that haven't been, you've got to make an effort and get here. I mean, the season runs from June right up until the end of November, and it is just full of whales. So the height of season, sort of September, October, we can have as many as sort of 200, 250 whales in the bay. Land-based whale tours, people say, are you crazy? Why land-based? I can get to within 10, 15, 20, 30 meters of a whale from land. And you can really go and hide yourself along the cliffs. You can see the cliffs are about 10 meters higher than the sort of above the ocean, 10 to 20 meters, and you can really go and find yourself some lovely places. That's taken with a wide angle lens. You can see the whale in the foreground there. There's a 17 mm lens that is with mommy and calf right next to me at about, probably about 20 meters from me.
And that's from the rocks?
That's from the rocks.
Wow.
Yeah, water depth here, Quinton, anything from sort of 10 to 12 meters. So that allows him to come right up close to the edge of the rocks. So yeah, morning, noon and night. I mean, I'm up from sparrows right up until the sun goes down, photographing them. I have slowed down a bit because I spend a little more time on the boats now, honing my skills, photographing whales from the boats. Another view from the boat of Hermanus. Just to give you an idea, the old demeanor with a southern right whale, they are the most docile animals on the planet. They are massive animals, can weigh as much as 60, 65,000 kilograms, and will not harm a fly. Every time we go out in the boat, you've got about a 90% chance of when you stop the boat, the whale's coming to the boat. Not 90% chance of seeing a whale, but they come to you. They love their photographs taken, and they are really entertainers as well, as you will see a little bit later. just to show you there, that's taken from another point on the rocks. This is how close they do get to the rocks. They're no more than 15, 20 meters from the side of the rocks.
It's so incredible that they're that close. I really thought that you know, the majority of the photography would be from boats.
Yeah, and just something interesting. My first book came out in 2009. Not a single photograph in that book was taken from a boat. My second book, I managed. It's a 288-page book. There are probably only about 15 or 20 photographs that are taken from the boat, which took me 5 years to get those 20 photographs. And subsequent to that, the last 5 years I've spent on the boat religiously. I've probably done 1,000 trips on the boat now, and you will see now as we go through it, the different sort of dynamic, if I could use that word, the perspective that you get when photographing whales from land as opposed to the boat. We have big seas. We just had our first winter storms now. Yeah, this was taken many years ago. We have waves that can get up to about 40 feet in height. That's about 13, 14 meters. We have really monster waves here. And then, of course, all the big surfers come out. And here you can see a young whale that joined in the surfers having a bit of a ball with the guys. Good mate of mine, he's got the kayaking business. And once again, this is the shot that you're always looking for when the whales like to interact with the kayakers. These guys all got splashed. Nobody was harmed. And it is just a whale coming to say hi to the guys. It looks more dramatic than it actually is, even though it is dramatic. But they will not even harm a fly, as I say.
Is that taken with a 500?
That's actually taken with a 100-400.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously a bit of compression there. It makes it look like they're right up close, but I'm fairly sure there was, you know, good 20 meters between them.
They got none of them got knocked out, but a lot of them got very, very wet. If you look at the black dude on the left-hand side there, he was from England and had an English accent second to none. And the first guy I went to was him when he got off the kayak. And his reaction was, "God blimey, I thought it was the last day I was going to be on this planet."
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, now we start getting a few close-ups here. Once again, this will be mostly with the 500 taken from land. I will just say land or boat. So just to give you guys an idea. But from land, I'm telling you now, with a bit of patience, you can really get yourself really close up. Okay, land. How's that for land? On a nice calm day like this, you actually want to get your feet literally into the water. It is a bit of a risky business, this. You've got to watch the swell even when the ocean is flat as anything. There's always that little freak wave that comes through, and you've got to constantly watch the ocean. But just give this lovely view of they almost look like U-boats. Okay, so mothers and calves. Southern right whales come here to have their babies. They come here to mate. They come here to calve. And lovely to see mothers dropping their youngsters. They really share a life bond. The little baby on the left-hand side here, that is a youngster. And you can see it is white in color. I like to call them the Dalmatians. About 3% of all the births, the little whales come out absolutely snow white.
That's
there you can see. And then all the moms and calves will do is swim around the perimeter of the bay, day in, day out, and literally along the cliffs. So you can, and if you sat in one spot for up to 4 or 5 hours, you'll actually see them coming past 2 or 3 times during the day. The little calves, they will grow prodigiously. They come out at about 5 to 6 meters in length. And you can just see in this photograph as well, the textures here. I mean, just such a beautiful animal to photograph. As ugly as they are, it's one of the few animals where you've got, you're not actually looking at the eye. You know, most wildlife photographers will tell you, you've got to get the eye. The eye has to be absolutely pin sharp, whether it be a bird or a lion or a leopard. But I do have one with the eye, so just look out for that. Once again, just the closeness of where we are between the kelp beds and the rocks. Nice head on. Okay, now you can see once again with the big waves, the calves can start breaching from about 2 weeks of age. In other words, this is just like a child taking its first steps. mothers will encourage their little ones to breach so that you can see there's coordination in the calf and that she's dealing with a very sound calf. And the calves are just constantly playing. And once they start breaching, there is no stop because they've got an endless supply of milk that mother produces. So they just go and top up and they just carry on. A little calf will breach sometimes for up to 40 minutes. And if you catch a calf like that on a good day, to sit and have a calf breaching for 40 minutes, you can really come up with some phenomenal footage. Mother and calf, you can see the difference in size there. Lying in the kelp beds, they love the kelp. The kelp they use as a bit of an exfoliator, gives them a nice body scrub. Once again, straight from the front. And then 2 adults. This is on the boat now, nice and close. And when I say nice and close, they come right up to the side of the boat. Okay, now I sent you my second book, a couple of photographs that made it into the book from water. What I tried to get here is you get a crest to trough. So you want to be, the boat must go right down to the trough, and you want the whale to sort of rise up to the crest of the wave. Ideally, you'll see a couple of tails that I'll show later where you get the mountain in the background as well. And you want that looking up to the whales, you know, sort of from a very low perspective. Light as well, very important. And we always talk about the golden hour. Any nature photographer that's worth his salt, the golden hour is the time when you really get these beautiful colors coming through. Okay, nice and close again. This is the tail, sort of closer to me and lying sort of perpendicular to me. If there are any questions regarding all these callosities and these weird looking sort of protrusions on the whale, just feel free to ask any questions. I'm going to give you a little rundown here now. This is a close-up. This is taken from land as well, just to show you how close. I mean, I'm no more than 10 meters from this whale with the 500.
Sure.
If you look very closely, all what we have there are thousands and thousands of little whale lice, sort of, and they will be sort of parasiting. It's a symbiotic relationship that they share with the whale. So they will constantly eat away all the excess skin and have a lovely sort of relationship with the whale. You also have barnacles. The barnacles and that sort of the jagged edges are sort of just hardened skin sort of protrusions. And that's how we identify our whales. Each whale has its own unique pattern and coloration. So very easy to identify whales, especially from above.
So those protrusions, or what do you call them?
Callosities.
What is that just a natural, like a growth or something like that?
It's a natural growth. So when they are born, they come out with this natural hardened skin protrusion, and then the whale lice will attach themselves. So they'll jump from mommy onto the baby, and so they will then make their whale their new host. Okay, how's that for an eye?
There we go. I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen, I mean, you referred to them as the Dalmatians earlier. I don't think I've ever seen a white whale with the black spots. It's fantastic. So cute.
It is fantastic. It is fantastic. Having photographed them for so many years here in Hermanus, you know, it becomes sort of second nature. But if you're on a visit for a day or two, I mean, you might not even see what they call not albinos, my Dalmatians. A good year, we had about 10, 12 little white ones cruising around the bay. So there was great opportunity. You'll see, as I show you breaching and some tails, you'll see some of the white whales as well. But it just, when you see a black mother with a white little calf, I mean, it just sort of speaks volumes. I mean, it's just, they stick out like sore thumbs. It's just a skin coloration. They just have a shortfall of pigmentation, and they will just gray with age. So they're not albinos in the true sense of the word.
Okay.
Okay, then coming on to some of the baleen photographs. That is, the baleens are those fine little harp-like lines in their mouths, and those are their teeth, as they're called baleens, but let's just for everybody's sake call them teeth. They use it as a filtration system, and these animals feed on the smallest crustaceans in the ocean, namely krill, plankton, copids, and euphausids. What we have here is a youngster with its mouth wide open, so you can just see the roof of the mouth. and this almost makes like a big blanket either side of the mouth. And then all that happens is when the food source goes into the mouth, the food source will stay inside, and then the whale will then disperse the water through these fine little fibers in the mouth.
Are they rigid, or is it a fairly flexible?
It's very flexible. I'm sorry, I don't have one right here now, but they grow to about 2.3 meters in length, and they can have up to 500 in their mouth.
Wow!
So just give you an idea, they are monster mouths. Okay, this is a baby, only about 2.5 months old, but just look at the size of the tail already in relation to the body. So it's baby sticking its head up and sticking its tail out in the background there. Okay, there's a nice vision with the mouth partially ajar. You can see the beautiful sort of symmetric lines of the baleen plates. There's a nice close-up of a mouth open. This is also very rare. Once again, having photographed them for 16 years and, as I said, touching on 1 million photographs, you get your opportunities. So don't expect to come down here and expect to see mouths open and whales breaching and tails all the time.
But I thought you were the best guide.
Well, then I can always help out and take you to the best vantage points. Okay, just like
then
humans,
it's up to us, hey?
And then yeah, I can lead you to the water, but I can't take you down. Just like humans, whales do breathe air, and 2 massive blowholes can hold their breath for anything up to an hour. But when they are in our shallow waters, they're on the surface 90% of the time. When I say 90% of the time, breaths sort of between 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Nice close up here. This is an older whale. You can just see there's sort of growthy protrusions, and then that sort of lines with all the little lice. You can see there on the blowhole, those little lice, and all they're doing is cleaning up all the mucus and just doing their thing, like little soldier ants. Nice close up there, the 2 blowholes, obviously taken with a nice sort of shallow depth of field there, focusing here on the crustaceans just below, sort of behind the blowholes. Blowholes, they are closed. They're just like 2 big muscles. They open and close. And they're just blowing out water. When I say blowing out water, as they come up to the surface, there's always sort of a mirage or a sort of meniscus of water on the skin. And when it exhales, you get a lot of great sort of splashy, sort of really gives it just gives it excitement.
And how high is that spray? I mean, I've seen whale shots in the past where good 5 meters, the spray comes out of the water. Is it always that dramatic, or depends?
Always that dramatic. Of course, you work on wind conditions and sea conditions as well. When the wind blows and where the light is, you can get some lovely blows. You will see I've got some into the sun and backlit, and you'll see some nice blows as well. A nice front on, you can see the exhale there as well. But yes, they also go up to about 5 meters into the what we call them puffy blows, the big V blow, the puffy blows. There's a big puffy blow.
I love that with the sun coming from the other side. That is so lovely.
Yeah, and then once again, there's the beach. That's on the other side of the bay. As you look from Hermanus across the bay, you've got a 22-kilometer beach, which is pristine. It's a nature reserve. And southern right whales are comfortable in 3 meters of water. So when it's a nice flat day, they will go and rub their bellies on the sea bottom. Absolutely incredible how they are comfortable in such shallow water. Once again, they're early morning, that's a good 5 meter blow.
So I've got a question here from Rude. How many whales are there? Because the groups are called pods, hey? How many whales are there in the different groups, or do they, does it vary?
Yeah, they're very solitary animals. So you have mother and calf. When they're mating groups, or herds as they call them, the biggest I've seen together are about 12 to 14, no more than that. Most of the mating groups are about 5 to 6 whales together. When the calves get a little bit older, the moms sort of tend to, once they can see their calves are very comfortable in their sort of surroundings, you'll sometimes get up to 4 or 5 mothers sort of like a little tea party getting together and letting the little ones just sort of interact and play. So you can get up to sort of 8, 10, 12 whales, but it's very rare that you see so many whales together. Okay, now interesting, I hope all our listeners are over 18. Mating also takes place in the bay. This is taken from the cliff top. I believe I'm the only person on this planet that has got mating taken from land. I've got a good friend up the west coast. He's also got a few good pictures taken from the boat. I also have from the boat, but from the land. You can see that what looks like a fireman's hose. That is the male's penis going across, and lying on the back on the right-hand side is the female, and that is her vaginal cavity. Now that 3-meter penis will penetrate her, and then ultimately it will do its number. So the most well-endowed creature on the planet. How's that for taken from land as well? And that's actually inserted.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a great picture.
Okay, we're now moving on to another little chapter here. We have this mother and calf, Tintin, as I named her. And I'll show you why I called her Tintin. She has markings on her belly that looks like the cartoon character Tintin. And she managed to be the only whale that was named in my first book. I haven't got time to name the whales because there are so many of them. And then Tintin became the star of the show in the second book. She had to have a name change because of obvious reasons for Tintin.
Is it copyright issues?
Copyright infringements. So I phoned the head office in Belgium, and when I spoke to the law office, and he went, then I knew I'll have to change the name very quickly. So Tintin became Patches, and she had a little baby called Patch. So there you can see a bit of Tintin's belly. Looks just like the cartoon character. And this is one of the stories that will stay with me for the rest of my life. This was July 2010. It was the first mother-calf combination. I didn't know it was Tintin because I hadn't seen her underside. And I spent 30 consecutive days at the same spot with mother and calf. I went down every single morning. And of course, July being the Cape winters, there was nobody else around. Very few tourists and very few locals. And I believe to this day, I built a serious bond with this mother and calf. Just to give you an idea of size, just to the right, you can see that is brand new little baby, probably about 7 to 10 days old. And just look at the size comparison to mommy and calf.
What would the sizes be of the mom and the baby?
Okay, mom, she will obviously, because she doesn't feed for 6 months in our waters. So mom will pop in here at about 65,000 kilograms and be about probably 14 to 16 meters in length. The little one pops out about 5 to 6 meters in length and will weigh in excess of 1,000 kilograms. Sure. Now the milk that they drink is a very high concentrate, probably about 12, 15 times more fat content than human mother's milk. So they grow at about 2 to 3 centimeters in length a day, and they probably put on average over about a 3-month period, if you work it back, about 120 kilograms a day. So that calf grows rapidly. There you can see Tintin's little face, and then just to the left you see mom. And these are the rocks I was sitting on every day for 30 days. And I've never ever seen a mother and calf in one position for longer than 3 to 5 days. But to spend 30 days with these two was just phenomenal. And there she's doing a breach, very close to me. Okay, a bit of sepia here, big storms. Those are probably a good 10-meter swells. And you have a mother and calf here. Mommy doing a little exhale as the wave has gone through. Okay, then a bit on the arty side as well. Sort of a lot of power, a lot of you wait for the wind, big seas. These whales, as docile as they are, they can really get active as well and really, really put on a splendid show. I mean, and water, I just want to add here as well, water is not one's friend when it comes to exposing. So I'm sure Johan Greyling will be very happy with me. I see all his photographs are underexposed, and all mine are pretty much underexposed as well. You can always bring the blacks back to life, but water, once it's blown out, you can forget about it.
Yeah, especially when you've got a fairly dark water, and if you've got a bit of sun, like this one is backlit. You've got the sun coming through there. You can lose that detail in there so quickly. And like you say, once it's blown, it's blown. There's nothing you can do to bring it back again.
Yeah. You'll see, especially when they start slapping tails and the breaching, which is the most spectacular activities that they get up to. That's when you really want the water to stand out. So ideally for me, the bigger the oceans, the bigger the winds, and it must be overcast as well, because then, of course, you just don't get any of that glare. You get a lot of glare off the water as well. Even when there's no, even if it's on a flat day, the glare is what actually can kill you. So it is a lot of trial and error. With white balance, I like to also go just on the normal little cloud setting, just to give it a little more warmth. When I say I can use warmth, get the blues more blue. Kelp, love playing with their kelp. So after a big storm, the kelp will break off from their roots. And of course, they will sort of congregate in the middle of the bay, and then these whales will just go and pick them all up and sort of just let it glide over their backs.
So like a little tickle.
Absolutely.
Little skin massage.
That's what it is.
So okay, I've got a question from,
yes.
from Chris Vessels. He wants to know, who's your target market? Where do you make this, hobby profession turn into some sort of income?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, everybody likes to be called a professional photographer. I'm a photographer that just happens to make money out of my whales by doing my tours, and then having authored and self-published my 2 books. That is my little cash cow. That is just a constant sort of stream of money. And it gives you a little bit of credibility as well. Would you rather go on a whale tour with somebody that's authored a book and spent 16 years photographing them, or would you go with a guy that's just walked in and got his badge and say, look, I'm going to show you some whales? So it's an indirect way of making money. I do sell a lot of my works. I've got a studio in town, which is closed at the moment. I share it with the Mammal Research Institute, which is part of Cape Town University. So I sell a lot of canvases to order. I do websites. I kit out guest houses. I did a guest house in Camps Bay with a 4-meter by 2-meter dolphin.
Wow.
And I mean, I don't have to tell you, it makes a lot of money. So yes, you're not going to die rich, but I'm going to die happy. That I can tell you. And at least now I've got some sort of shekels in the pocket.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's the stream of money. Yeah, I can promote myself. This lockdown has really opened up a lot of avenues as well. What I'm doing now, this is my first Zoom presentation. I've hooked up with a couple of schools in America, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And I'm going to be doing pretty much what I'm doing now, probably a little more sort of on the biological side of it, and make money like that. And they will be paying me in foreign currency. So yes, there are ways to make money out of it, indirectly.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, also a nice overcast day, just getting that's just the tip of the tail. I mean, that's a big 6-meter tail from sort of point to point, but just catching that little nip as it just breaks the surface. Okay, rainy day. You got to go out in all conditions. You've got to sacrifice. You know how many tests I've missed with the buddies? You're having a braai and a couple of beers. Sorry, guys. When the whales start performing, they might not perform the next day. It's the same as going to a waterhole. You get that lion killed the one day, or the herd of buffaloes. You come there the next day, and you might not see another buffalo.
Absolutely. Just a quick question from I think it was Rude. Do you use a polarizing filter?
All my years, I've never used a polarizing filter until last season. I use it on the 100-400 on the boat. And believe it or not, when you polarize, you must go to 0, your exposure compensation. But I've even found with the polarizer on, I can still underexpose. And I have found ever so slightly, it has improved the water quality. And like this one now, this using a polarizer, just looking into the water, I have noticed it takes away all the, the glare bits. So yes, polarizing filter, not important, but I have found, especially when you're shooting sort of from 10 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when it is harsh light, then I would use a polarizer.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I suppose then you're going to get that little bit of distance and clarity underneath the water, whereas the surface would have blocked it to a certain degree without that polarizing filter.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same. I explain to people, we wear polarizing sunglasses when I'm on the boat. Put them on, look into the water, you see the whale so much better. Okay, just from a bit of an artistic, just taking, I mean, that looks like you don't know what it is, but that's the underside of a southern right whale. And so many of them have these unique little colorations on them. I mean, from the whites to the grays to the blacks.
I thought that was the latest American submarine with the camo coloring on it.
Yeah, and that's, you could, if I told you submarine, Trump would probably believe us. Okay, also just a tail, a fluke or a tail, as you want to call it, just under the surface. And a little tip of a tail just with a bed of kelp, just sort of adding to the drama. Okay, now I'll be going on to the boat now. Mr. Greylen, are you watching? This is where I met Johan on the boat last year, him with all his big equipment and whatever, and trying to steal my thunder. Anyway, we had a good chat and we've actually become quite good mates. Okay, so this is just to show you how close you can get to a whale. The back of the boat, and I always tell people, go to the back of the boat, but typical, just like sheep, everybody runs to the front of the boat. Johan Greylen, he did listen to me, he went to the back of the boat. So everybody runs to the front of the boat, the whales come to the back of the boat, and then you've got your chance with the whales. Okay, look how close this is. It's just, I mean, that's just a little point and shoot. And this is what the tourists want, just to get a few little shots captured. That breach, I'm standing sort of midship, and I mean, the people in the front, it must have thought that this whale is going to land on them. Okay, one of my, or probably my iconic shot. This is the boat I work on, the company, the boat called Maroshka. And this whale went out with about 8 or 9 breaches and ended up next to the boat. And they've now used this as their main marketing photograph, which they have used for the last 8 years. So it stood the test of time. Okay, nice big platform. And we have 60 people on the boat at a time. You can really find your place. It gets a bit squashy in the front, as you can see. But you are going to get close and you're going to get some good shots. Now just look, you don't see the one, you can see 3 whales sort of in tandem. It's just the inquisitive nature coming through and just spending time with us. And then that hands in the air at the back there, another happy reveler. And this is ideally what you want. This happens not often, but when it does happen, I'm blessed. I know what the animals are going to do. And it's exactly the same as the guys that photograph a lot of leopards. You've got to understand your subject matter and their movements, what time of the day, and where they're going to go, where they're going to come out, and then position yourself as well. I mean, this hasn't been cropped, and I just knew we were in the right position, and I knew where the whale was going to come out, and bam. So this one is still going to be sold to them. Probably make a good couple of bucks out of this photograph as well.
That's fantastic. It's just the light is in the right spot. Water spray, it's lovely. Really, really like it.
Yeah. And you see with them sort of a little bit out of focus, and then the real focus being the whale itself. Okay, there's the same boat. This is taken from, now we're going on to the aerial photography. I have a pilot that will help me. He will sit on the right-hand side, where most pilots sit on the left-hand side, because when you've got the camera, it's very difficult. You on a right-hand drive car, when you got your Weatherly or your gimbal out to try and photograph, you've really got to position the car. I like to park my combi and then I just shoot through the passenger window. So I sit on the left-hand side of the airplane. We open the window and then he just does circles. I hang out that airplane with a 500mm lens, because by law, we also only allow 300 meters above the whales. And then you just shoot to your heart's content.
What is the distance? Because Lindy from Australia was saying that they're not allowed closer than 100 meters from the whales. unless, of course, they come closer to you. Is it the same rules in South Africa?
It's worldwide, it's 300 meters. So, Lindy, yeah, if you've got a special permit, a special dispensation, you're allowed within 50 meters. But once again, the whales never read the law books. And if you get to 50 meters, they then come right up close to us. Just a good friend of mine in the back there, Jan Pedersen, world-renowned photographer. And it's so nice to see a photographer when he's out of his patch, if I could put it that way. And he always listens to what I tell him. And it's just, everybody has their own little niches. And that's why everybody is good at what they do. But just take it, when somebody tells you to do something, exactly like when I say, go and stand at the back of the boat, listen to me, go stand at the back of the boat, because I know.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just to show you what it looks like in the airplane, it's a bit cramped in there, but we do some phenomenal flybys. So this is pretty much wheels touching the beach.
Sure.
Okay, so
that is lovely.
This day I waited probably about 7-8 years. I had a plane on standby, and these conditions probably come by one day a year. And you have to get up early morning, and I got up just at the right time, phoned my mate. He just said, right, the propellers will be spinning. You just get here and we can just taxi and get going. We got up. I had probably about 40 minutes. I shot off 2,000 shots, and that's all I needed, and never to be repeated. I've never had a condition. You can just actually see the shadow to the right of that whale. That whale's in about 4, max 5 meters of water. You can see the bottom, the seabed that's been disturbed. As I say, they're giving itself a nice little sort of scratch on the belly, sort of on the sea bottom. But look at the dramatic, just under the surface.
Oh, I love that. I love that with the sand being disturbed like that. It's so cool.
And there's a brand new baby, probably a day or two old, and just hitching a ride on mommy's back. But both of them just haven't broken the surface, so it gives you that sort of eerie, sort of almost like an artist sort of canvas. It doesn't look like a photograph at all. Okay, this is what happens when you take a photograph through the window or the perspex window of an aeroplane. It's in focus, but you can just see that the perspex just throws it out completely. Just a quick story about these two. This mother adopted this little calf. We don't know the whole story. We think the mother must have passed on. And as far as I know, this little whale survived. Ended up, it was the last mommy and calf to leave, and she took the little one back down to the feeding grounds. Remember I said to you, the whales only feed for the 6 months of the year. And that's down in the Antarctic waters. So she managed to give milk to both the little ones and basically survived the whole journey. Okay, that was my shot for the presentation. Very dramatic as well. That hasn't been cropped at all. That is as I took the photograph. I mean, this is when 60,000 kilograms gets out the water and splashes.
That is incredible.
Yeah, there's Hermanus in the background, the Marine Hotel, the beautiful mountains. Okay, there's another shot where you're looking for that going to the trough. Okay, we're going into the breaching now. This is the whale's favorite pastime. Very, very acrobatic whales, these. And this, as far as I'm concerned in nature, this is the highlight of anything I've photographed. You know, both terrestrial or seagoing animals. When they get out the water, this is what you want. And just look at these beautiful colorations and markings on the whales. About 80% of whales have some form of white marking on the underside. And it just lends itself to absolutely brilliant photography.
So I just want to know if anyone's ever done a study of the Rorschach tests of those shapes, because the previous one had it was almost exactly like a Rorschach test, where it's opened up in the center and equal on both sides. I wonder if there's if anyone's tried to do a test like that on them, or maybe it's just me wondering that.
Oh, who knows? What I have done, through the markings on the underside, I've probably got about 200 whales that I've identified over the 16 years that I've been photographing them. So that is a way of identifying whales as well. Here we go, another little Dalmatian, not albino as everybody thinks they are. And on the boat, nice calm day, this youngster, probably 2 months old here, decided to come. This is taken with probably, I looked at this last night, it was on with my 100-400 on 100 mil. So this whale is no more than 20 meters from me when it landed. Just to give you an idea of how close they come to the shore, you can actually see the people in the background there. And this is quite a stormy day. Very comfortable. And just even if you don't photograph, just go walking around, you will see whales. Look, it's going out of fashion. A good 2.5 kilometers away, big westerly wind blowing, just to give you an idea as well. Just a nice little perspective shot, if I could call it that. Okay, I've just got these 2 pictures here quickly. Nothing much of a photograph, but just to show you, I've captured this photograph before it's broken the surface. So the water hasn't broken yet. So it's still this meniscus of water around it, and there it breaks. So they're coming out at such ferocity that it's just sort of cocooned this water over it, and then it breaks.
That's amazing.
So there you have to preempt where it's going to come out and get the focus and get the, get it all lined up. But that just comes through years and years of practice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, nice and close up again. I think I got wet from on the rocks when this one came and splashed next to me. Okay, not a great shot, took in 2008, but just to give you the, with the birds and the whale breaching. I mean, sort of one of those, you ain't going to get that unless you do maybe a double exposure like we did the other day.
Yes, yes.
Okay, one of my, geez, what is a clean little white baby this, and close to the beach, and it just, I don't know, with the mountains, the background, the clouds, just a lovely little shot.
That's beautiful.
Okay, here's the energy, the power. So nicely underexposed here, probably about 1 1/3, and hasn't been touched, this photograph, as in no cropping whatsoever. This is how I've taken it. So you get yourself so, I don't know, you just know where it is. And another thing I do that nobody knows is your focus point must be at the bottom, because the water is your base. So your focus point is that. And then whatever goes past that doesn't matter, because you just stay where it comes out. So that will be your focus point. So you don't have it in the center of the camera, but at the bottom.
They just look so huge with those shots.
Yeah, now there's a nice, just there, calm day. Yes, not too bad, but yeah, dramatic. This was an adult as well, but look at the clouds, stormy clouds, big seas. We were in the westerly. When the westerly blows here, 80% of the people on board are sick. I don't mind. I just leave them. They got their sick bag, but then I'm out, and I'm telling you now, you are just, when I say holding on, you learn to hold on with your backside, and of course, you've got to hold the camera with both hands, but you peg your backside against the wall of the boat. Also, just power, power, power. And then just nice with the mountains, the town in the background. I mean, this goes on when the height of seasons, August, late August, September, October, this you see every single day. No cropping. One of my favorite shots, this appeared in my book as well. But just, it is pin sharp. This just gives you an idea. If you really want to study the whale and its anatomy, this is all the head area, the blowholes, and the eye. I'm not going to go through it. Okay, nice overcast day. See how the water really comes alive as well. And there's a whale finished about a 10 breach sequence. It is now tired, and you can see it's exhaling. So it would hold its breath for those 10 breaches and then eventually exhale, as you just say, I'm now done.
That's incredible. I just love the water that, this one's even better. I was just going to say that I love how the water just sort of like rolls off them in the spray, and it's so, so beautiful.
Yeah, now this is probably a 1 in a million. Never ever photographed a whale from behind breaching. And it's not a breach, it's actually a forward lunge. So they come out the water and sort of just lunge forward and land on their chin. But how it's got its pectoral flippers out, Now, just to give you an idea, that whale with those pectoral flippers out is probably about 8 meters wide, 8, 9 meters wide. I mean, these are just massive animals. Yeah, this shot, probably iconic. We're going over to Flukes now, which for me are probably the most dramatic. But this whale, also a special place in my heart, but with all these markings, got white markings on its back and on its belly, very, very rare. But wait until you see the tail. So the next shot is the tail of this whale. Her name is officially Emma. And Emma has been documented since 1983, and she has had 14 calves since 1983. But that tail with that spray, you can just see a little bit of a rainbow forming there, and the white and the gray on the underside of her tail. Very, very rare color markings on this whale. This is my iconic shot. This shot has gone to all corners of the globe. It is sold all over the place. Okay, this was a baby. People came to me and said, please, can we phone NSRI? This whale is in distress. I said, no, it's not. These were about 6 meter waves. Each wave coming through would knock the whale down. Next minute, tail up again. Next wave comes through, and it was just having fun. That's all it was doing. In 6 meter swell, where you and I would jump in and we'd probably drown. Okay, nice calm day again from land. Little white baby sort of putting its tail on top of mommy's blowholes. The bond they share is absolutely for life. It is a very close bond, very loving animals and very caring animals as well. Okay, this is now when boat, crest to trough, big stormy days. This is what you want. We pushed the limits here. Skip and I work very closely together. I don't even think this was an official trip. It was just a quick sighter. We had a few people on board. And this is the day we saw orcas. We've all heard about the orcas. Well, not all of us, but there are 2 orcas that have been cruising around killing all the sharks. And this whale obviously sensed that these orcas were around, and it gave a demonstration that I've never seen before. It slapped its tail so violently. And of course, there I was with that mountain in the background. I mean, it just epitomizes power, strength, stormy. It just has so many moods going around with it.
And that lighting coming in from the side just makes it, wow.
No,
it gives it so much depth. I mean, I know it's, you know, it's to a certain degree, it's there's a lot of luck involved because, you know, you've got to, you know, position the boat depending on where it comes up, what it's going to do, etc. But, you know, it's obviously, you know, years of doing it, you know where you're going and, you know, you're positioning yourself for it. But then to, you know, to get shots like that, oh, amazing.
Yeah, so you know, once again, you take your opportunities, you run with it. Obviously, working with a good skipper just helps as well. We sort of have that telepathic sort of understanding, and you know, you've got wind, you've got sea conditions. So the boat, as much as it's when you in idle, the boat is moving all the time, both sort of in the swell and with the wind blowing it. So yes, things change very quickly. Okay, then this is back to a calm day. Also spectacular tail, but just the calmness now. Still nice, but just doesn't have that same dramatic feeling as with the big seas. Okay, this gives you an idea of really the power. I mean, you'd wait for that surge to come out before it really comes out. So you want to get that water sort of stuck in there. I'm just going to go through these as well now. Straight into the sun. Little baby.
Water dripping off like that is just, I suppose it's one of those quintessential whale shots. You know, the tail's up there and the water's just sort of, you know, falling down. Its work is amazing.
What I try as well, I'll go into aperture priority, and I want to try and get the most out of my shutter speeds. If I can get 4,000 plus, if I can get to 8,000 all the time, I will shoot at 8,000 of a second. And of course, the harsh light conditions, you can sit and shoot at 8,000 all day, even with a 500, with a 1.4 on as well. And of course, you know, if you exposure compensate to underexpose, you can even then sort of ramp it up even a bit more. I'm going to go through these. So now just to the left of that tail, you can see that big white building there with sort of blue windows. That tail sits in that very guest house. Okay, now I've discovered these only last week, thanks to my talk today. I hid them away in some other file. Anyway, I came across these and I couldn't believe my luck when I found these. And you'll probably about 4 photographs here, but this to me epitomizes what tail photographs are all about. You've got these, that green in the ocean is, that is stormy conditions, big seas, and we went out and we do go out if it's 4 meters is sort of max, but that day the westerly was blowing as well, so it makes it more dramatic. And then of course you can see the clouds in the background.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so almost sort of going monochrome here now. It's just as the boat has moved, the lighting conditions, those clouds were heavy. Now that might look like it's not that I'm moving with the boat, but it's actually the swells coming through. So that's normal. That's how I want it. And that's because you've got this huge wave surging through and the boat being lifted up and then sort of settle down again. But that white, it's almost like there is a light shining on the white with a big sort of curtain of cloud behind it.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
This one speaks to me, even though I cut off the tip of the tail. Not that I've cropped it that way. That's how the photographs come out. But you just can't have the perfect shot all the time. But it doesn't look that bad. Even though the tip of the tail's chopped off, I will still have this put on a poster or on a canvas or on a picture and hang it up in my living room. And that there with the mountain, that also just speaks volumes. But look at you can just see those waves are big. Yeah, as they surging sort of past the boat. Okay, that pretty much does it with the Southern Rights. I'm just going to, how much time we got there, Quentin? Are we still okay for?
We're probably just on the hour. So what I'll say is if we do get cut off, I'm still recording it, and the full one will then be on YouTube. But okay. I'm going to assume that we'll just be able to keep going. So go for it.
Okay, I'm going to just sort of now. There are other species of whales in the bay as well. We have the Brutus Whale, the Humpback Whale, and then I've been very fortunate to get some photographs of orcas. That was August last year. So this is the Brutus Whale, or Bride's Whale as people call it. This is 5 hours sitting waiting for this to happen. This is taken from land. We had about 20, 30 Brutus whales, but when I say 20, 30, that's over a distance of about 5 kilometers, all trying to catch sardines at the same time. And you don't know where they're going to come up. And all they do is they corral these fish, squeeze them into corners in the bay, and then they come from under and they just nail the sardines. And of course, the sardines come to the surface to escape. And there's a whale somewhere in amongst all these sardines.
That's a very cool picture.
That is a Brutus whale. It's got the dorsal fin. As you notice, the humpback, the southern right whales do not have any dorsal fins. It's a very elongated, long, it's like a massive dolphin. They're about 12 to 14 meters in length. And if you ever watch documentaries on the sardine run up the Natal coastline, these are the whales that go and gulp down all the fish. They will be sort of next month, June, July, with the sardine run. They go after the sardines with the dolphins and the sharks and the tuna and whatever. This day, one of the highlights of my life, photographic life. 24th of August last year, on the way back to harbor, we picked up 15 orcas. Absolutely, and you can see wind still, not a blimmin' wave to even speak of, no swell. And it was like a dream come true to see these whales. A good family. You can see the big dorsal fin, that's the male. The smaller dorsal fins are females, and obviously some youngsters as well. They spent about half an hour with us, and then obviously we had to leave them, not them leave us. We had to leave them. We had another tour. Okay, this is a humpback whale. You can see slightly more jagged, different type of tail design. Yeah, tails are the, as you would say, is it the quintessential, sort of the evocative, the beautiful. Yeah. Okay, this wasn't taken in Hermanus. This was taken up the west coast. We had this talk of there being the super pot of 100. Some even said 200. And I will say it under my breath, bullshit, 200 whales all congregating together. We went out and we just decided to go and have a look for ourselves. Anyway, one morning we counted 1,000 whales.
Wow.
1,000 whales on one trip. It just blew my socks off. Okay, humpbacks, they are really the big showmen. They are even more acrobatic than the southern right whales. They can sort of launch themselves completely out the water. A little bit smaller, even though they're still big, but they just are, they are the gymnasts of the ocean. It's a real violent tail slaps.
Yeah, that one looks quite violent.
Yeah. And a lot of times when the boat we had about 5 or 6 sort of next to the boat, and when we sort of came next to them, you always have the big male would sort of come and sort of assert himself and say, okay, boys, I am here. This is who I am. This is what you're going to deal with. And they normally just do 1 or 2. So you've got to be ready and then just carry on swimming as though it's normal. You know, it's all whales, all cetacea, dolphins. They have that sort of human playfulness in them and just love to spend time with humans and humans on the boats. They just love the interaction. Oh, just a nice sort of with the water just making that shot as well. Okay, these are humpback breeches. As I said, you can see their dorsal fins or their pectoral fins. They can measure up to about 5 meters in length. And these guys can really put on a show when they come out the water.
Rude is just asking when the whale season is in Hermanus.
Okay, Hermanus, we start officially 1st of June. We ain't going to be doing any whale watching this season. I'm talking officially from a tourist point of view. So June, they start arriving. We've had a few whales already in the bay. And it runs right up until the end of November, 1st week of December. And we can still have whales here right up until Christmas time, 1st week of January. But pretty much sort of your August, September, October is the crunch time for the whales.
Wow. That is, I mean, that's a huge creature, and for it to be pretty much just on its tail, yeah, unbelievable.
As you can see, not as rotund and robust, but sort of more it's almost like a launching missile. Now this shot here, we were out for about 3 hours. This was the beginning of last season. No southern rights no mention of any southern rights. We went looking for southern rights. We knew there were 1 or 2 humpbacks in the bay. And we found this one at Danger Point, which is right on the other side of the bay. And the storm clouds were brewing, and Skip was basically saying, listen, we've got another 5 minutes, and then we've got to head on back because we're going to get caught in the storm. And I just said to him, just press on, press on, press on. And we just had the sun going down sort of in the west. And it was that last little sun that this is the light I was waiting for this whale to breach. And there it sort of did like a pirouette, came out of the water, and had this last bit of sun sort of rays on the whale. And of course, with that curtain in the back, really sort of brought out the real mood of that shot. The only reason I put this shot in is just sort of, once again, to speak of the equipment, whether it be Nikon or Canon or Fuji or whatever, but just to show you how good the equipment is. Handheld, this was a 20th of a second with a 500 1.4 converter. I took from land. I did at 4,000 ISO and as a 20th of a second. And this is how I came out with the shot. And I was pretty excited. I'd been running around to try and get the shot. So I was a bit out of breath as well. Managed to compose myself and just shows you can still, yes, there's a little bit of movement in the water, but I think I've sort of nailed it on the light on the back of the whale there. So even at a 20th of a second handheld with a 500, you can still get some sort of activity out of it.
You obviously drink less coffee than I do, because 20th of a second with a 500 and a 1.4, there's just no way on this planet I'm going to hold it that still.
Yeah, and if I could just say to you as well, even to you, Quentin, if you're not using a tripod, which I don't own a tripod, so I've worked my way in. It's all about breathing as well. Just before you take the shot, you want to breathe out. You don't want to hold your breath. You tend to, if you hold your breath, what happens? You start vibrating. So you want to just sort of relax yourself, just let the air out, and that sort of tends to relax you and works with that gyrometer inside the lens.
I'm definitely going to bear that in mind.
And of course, I see you got the F4 2 series, so that's like got a 3-stop anti-vibration.
I'll tell
Okay,
you what,
I'm going to
lovely lens
that is. I'm going to finish off now. Sunsets, of course, that just is the end of the day, so we'll finish off, even though this is sunrise, but I like to finish with the sun either coming up or going down. So this is going to almost conclude my talk. How's that early morning sun?
That is amazing.
Yeah, this is sunset now.
Wow.
Sunset, upside down with a bit of a white tummy. Just looking at this whale, I can tell you it's a male. I'm not going to go into that now.
Lovely.
Yeah, the sunsets are easier than sunrises. Sunrise is so quick, even in the bush, you know that. If you're not out when it's dark, you actually miss. You can't wait for the sun to almost come up and then go out. You've got to be out there when it's dark, look for your subject, and then hopefully be in the right position when the sun is just sort of rearing its head. With sunsets, you've got a bit of time to work with the last light. And then you still, once the sun has gone down, you still got that extra, which is, as far as I'm concerned, that critical hour where most people put their cameras away and then sort of lose some of the best light that you'll ever get.
Absolutely.
And I think that is the last one. So that's sort of like a wave with a fluke saying goodbye and thank you to everybody. Yeah, it was a pleasure showing you all my great stuff. Let me just see. That is the last one? Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna stop your share and then we'll be together like that. Wow. I mean, all I can say is wow. I love it when I'm watching a presentation and I sort of type in, oh, this is amazing, I love this, and then there's another one that comes after that's even better, and then another one that's even better. And that I just found again in this presentation, that's what I was seeing. Just as I thought that wow, that's amazing. And then there was another one. If I come down to Cape Town again, well, first of all, I've got to go and do some sea sculpture with Sasha. I've got to come and shoot some whales on your safari. It's going to be a very busy trip. I wanted to just say thank you so much for for taking the time and the energy to put this together for us. I know you were nervous up front, but it was fantastic. I really just have a huge thank you to you. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is, if you do have workshops and that sort of thing and safaris, if you send me the link, I'm going to be putting on the Hunters of Light site. I'm going to be putting all the presenters. We're going to put their workshops and mentorship, etc. there. So please send that to me. And then we can obviously get people to check out your stuff, because I mean I looked at this and I'm thinking I've got to go on one of these trips. So I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a couple other people that are thinking exactly the same thing.
Oh no, look, absolutely. And as South Africans, and now that we're all in lockdown, and even I go back to Mr. Johan Greiling, you still listening, Johan?
Yes,
saying local inspector. We've got so many. We've got the best box in. We don't have to pay the exorbitant prices. You come down to hermanus. I mean, it's a whole different wildlife, and it's on our doorstep. And I mean, once I've shown you around, you are then on your own, because I can quickly show you around, go on a tour with me, then you know what you're looking at, know what to look for, and then you can go and do your own thing. And it's free of charge. It's on our doorstep. Absolutely.
No, that's fantastic. I think it's fantastic that you came on. And I really appreciate these images. They are absolutely fantastic. I'm starting to build up a sort of a want list, and I don't have enough walls for them from all these amazing images that I've seen. So Thank you very much. It's certainly inspired me, and I'm sure that everyone else feels the same. So yeah, just a massive thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Quentin, yeah, from my side and from what you're doing, I mean, yes, you sort of set the bar right up there. It's woken me up as well. I mean, my first PowerPoint that I basically finished at 1 minute to 2.
Yeah.
Thanks to my wife helping me out here. And yeah, I'm not going to look back now. And who knows where this is going to take us. And
Absolutely.
thank you. You've really set the platform here now for all photographers. I mean, and I say all photographers from all the levels.
No, absolutely. And I think that, you know, as long as people are getting inspired and motivated, then that's all that matters. It's all that matters for me.